So now let us look into invoking the stored procedure. You can go to the documentation and you can see you can invoke the stored procedure by using --call, and you can pass the stored procedure name. And stored procedures will take arguments. Your input data has to match the arguments of the procedure. The same way as the column names have to match the table name into which you are trying to insert the data. So --table and --call are mutually exclusive. Either you can have table and give the table name, or you can have call and give the procedure name. And whatever logic is there in the procedure will be executed. I don't have anything to demo on that part. Again, the syntax for your stored procedure will be different based upon the target database. Most likely, if you are taking the certification and if they give question on that, they will give the syntax of the specification of the stored procedure with the name and the columns. And as long as the columns match or the arguments match your input data, you should be able to just give the stored procedure name without arguments, and it will take care of invoking that by passing the values from the input data set, and whatever logic is defined in the stored procedure will be executed. Okay. From the project perspective, depending upon the target database you are writing into, it could be you who is working on the project who will take care of the stored procedure, or someone else will give you the specification. You just have to use it. It's not big of a deal. That being said, now let us move on to updating the data. So to update the data, there are two arguments: update key and update mode. By default, if you do not specify update key or update mode, and if you try to load the data, if there is a primary key in the table, it will fail. For example, here I am recreating the table again. Where order date is primary key. Okay, so I'm connecting to the database here. Use retail_export drop table daily revenue. Okay, and paste where we have defined the primary key. Table is created. Now let me run the export twice. First time it will export the data without any issue, but the second time it will fail because the primary key is defined as order date. Second time when it try to load the data, always it will try to insert by default and it will fail. To overcome that, we have to define those two additional arguments to control the behavior of your data to update based upon certain criteria, and we will see that in a moment. First, let us see what will happen if I try to run export into the same table twice where primary key is defined. So first time it went fine. I'm pasting again and it will fail. So there is a tracking URL. You can copy this. Go to the browser and paste it here. And you can see it is already failed. Click on the task, go to logs. Okay, let me show you here. You can see here. I'm sorry. So it is complying duplicate entry for the date for when the field is defined as primary key. Okay, so that is the default behavior. If you try to export the data where where the column where there's a primary key in the target table, and if there's any data which is matching to the existing primary key value, it will fail with this exception, as it is trying to insert the duplicate. So the default behavior is always insert. So to change the default behavior and update if the data already exists, you can see here update key. You can define the column on which it can do the lookup to decide if the data exists on that field which is defined as update key. It will check and it will update if the data already exists. And the default behavior, if the data doesn't exist, is to ignore. So it will only update the data if the keys match. If the keys doesn't match, it will ignore. So to override that, you have to use this additional argument called update mode. And you can see you have to define it as allow insert to actually upsert the data. So if the when you are trying to export the data, let's say there are two records. One record, let's say you are trying to export two records, out of which one record have already an entry in the target table. It will update, and the other record, let's say there is no matching entry in the target table, it will insert if we enable allow insert, if we change update mode to allow insert. By default it will only update one record. So let's see that as a demo. So here first I will drop both the tables, not both the tables, so let me drop the Hive table. I'm getting into Hive and our data is in the database called dgadraju_sqoop_import. Okay. And then show tables. Let me drop this table, drop table. No need to drop. Let the table be like this. And let me insert the data into the table. Okay. So instead of using 2013 July, let us get the data for 2013 August. Okay, so insert into table daily_revenue for 2013 August. So now additional data is inserted. You can see 38 are the total number of rows. I think, yeah, 38 are the total number of rows in the table. Because for 2013 July, we have 7 records and August have 31 days. So 31 plus 7, 38. Okay. So that we can actually validate by running select star from daily revenue. So overall 38 records are there in this table from 2013 July 25th till 2013 August 31st. Whereas our target table, which is daily revenue, okay, our target table is daily revenue and order date is primary key in that. We already exported data. Use retail_export and select star from daily revenue. We already have 7 records. And now if I just say update key as part of the export, okay, not this one. I want to get the first export command where I try to export into daily revenue, not daily revenue demo. So here I'm saying update key order date, and this has to match the target column name in the target table, and typically this should be the primary key. Even without primary key, you can specify, but uh, there can be performance related issues. Even if the values are unique in the table, there can be performance related issues. So you have to be a bit careful. Typically, as part of the update key, we define primary key column or indexed and not null column. Okay. So that being said, now I can run this. But before running this, let me update this table, update daily revenue, set revenue equal to 0. I have updated all the records. Now let us run the query. And the reason why I set to 0 is because just to show you that the data is updated. Now let me exit. And now let me run this query. Run this export with update key order date. So ideally, as our input data, which is this directory, have 38 records. Our target table also should have 38 records, but as we have only set update key, but not the update mode to allow insert, it will only update the existing 7 records. It will ignore the other 31 records. And that we can validate once this is done. So unfortunately, the output, the logs for our Sqoop export is a bit misleading. You can see that map input records are 38 and map output records are 38. And even it is saying exported 38 records. But if you go to the MySQL database and then go to retail underscore export and then say select star from daily revenue and hit enter, you can see only 7 rows in the table. So it actually updated the data, but it did not insert. So the logs are misleading or incorrect. Typically, we can write it as a bug to the Sqoop development team. Okay, so that being said, if I want to upsert, I have to say update mode hello insert. Okay, and then I can go here, update the table again, and query the table. Revenue is 0. In some databases, it is mandatory to run commit and then exit, and then perform the Sqoop export with update key as well as update mode. Okay, now again, it gives the same information. Input records are 38, output records are 38, and exported 38 records. And now if you actually get to the database, okay, and then use retail export and then select star from daily revenue, you can see the 38 records inserted and updated into the table or merged into the table. So this is how you can actually perform the updates.